What's going on, guys? Happy Tuesday, back here on the channel. It is your boy TKD123 back video, and today we're going to talk about all the brand new stuff that happened today in the music industry. So up here we got some Travis Scott news. Of course, every week it seems like we get, all a bunch of sorts of Travis Scott news and stuff like that. And this week he did something that was pretty unprecedented, pretty out of the blue, and pretty greatly well received. He dropped 3 new songs on SoundCloud, and those songs are called A Man, Butterfly Effect, and Purple and Green featuring Playboi Carti. So definitely these tracks are awesome. My personal favorite though is Butterfly Effect. That track just bangs in the car, so definitely go check out all 3 of those tracks as well. And definitely my personal favorite is of course Butterfly Effect. And along with that, just a quick little side thing. As we all reported a few days ago, about him being arrested and stuff like that for inciting a riot in Arkansas. He has since been found not guilty of those charges, so he's definitely off the hook there. However, in kind of promotional ways of doing this, and such a smart way to do this, he is actually right now selling t-shirts with this mugshot on the shirt. So go cop those if you guys are interested. That is just one of the best marketing moves I've seen in a long time. So definitely reps up to that, and definitely go check it. You know what? Who knows? I might even buy one. Who knows? I might even buy one. I would definitely rock that out in public for sure. Next up here, a few months ago we talked about how Kendrick Lamar has been submitted into the Harvard kind of library Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So now he will forever be in Harvard's library history and stuff like that. Definitely a huge accomplishment. And now he has taken it just a step further. So a high school in Colorado was having a competition, right? And it was to have students create a piece of art, an original piece of art, and the winner gets to have their painting or whatever art they create hung up at the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. for an entire year. And so this one girl won at the high school, right? But it so happens that her piece of art was actually a painting of none other than Kendrick Lamar. So since she won, we will have a painting of Kendrick Lamar hung up at the U.S. Capitol for a year. And that is, okay, yeah, it's a year, but it's still awesome, and it's an incredible painting as well. So then go check it out. And definitely congratulations to that girl also that won the competition. And the road to the Kendrick Lamar, he's officially on the U.S. Capitol. Very kind of reminiscent of his kind of artwork with To Pimp a Butterfly when he had, the White House in the background, stuff like that. So definitely reps up to that. Next up here we got Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion, the infamous Snoop Dogg, himself, or whatever you want to call him, Snoop Lion. And he was recently on Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel, is one to ask the important people the important questions, and he asked one of the most important questions you could ever ask a man. And that question is, who is your top 3 rappers? A very, very divisive question, a question that triggered many arguments on Twitter, many arguments in public and stuff like that. However, Snoop Dogg has put his own 2 cents in the equation. And rather than dodging the question, or rather than kind of just getting off from it, he actually answered the question. And his top 3 rappers goes in this order: Slick Rick, Ice Cube, and himself. Yes, he put himself in his own top 3 rappers of all time. That is some of the most narcissistic but beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. So Snoop Dogg, I'm sure you're the type to blast your own music in the car and vibe with it. And also, speaking of Snoop Dogg news, he also was outed and kind of announced that he'll be working on a gospel album. He's currently working on it right now, and it'll be dropping sometime in the future. We have no other info on that, but expect a Snoop Dogg gospel album at your local church sometime in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, take a second, right? Think back to 2009, right? We had so many, artists that were here and there. One that comes to mind is Cardinal Official, or whatever his name was. I forgot his name. But 2 prominent rappers in the, in that time were TWayne and Lil Wayne, of course. And the rise of 2009, we had that beautiful track Can't Believe It with them too, and it was overall a beautiful era, especially for TWayne. So during that time, the 2 of them actually made a collab project together. Yes, they actually made a project of them 2 together, and it was made in 2009. However, it was never released due to unknown reasons. However, TWayne kind of kept it in his locker, kind of kept it in his back pocket for safekeeping, and who knows, maybe he was going to use it at some point. And so throughout the week, he has been kind of sprinkling teases of the project and saying that, yeah, like this is a real thing that happened or whatever, and he's been teasing left and right. However, we have now officially gotten the release of the project that is called TWayne. TWayne released the album TWayne on SoundCloud a few days ago, and is a 10-song project, and it is an absolute masterpiece, guys. I listened to a few tracks here and there, and I was thinking about reviewing it this week. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, who knows. But definitely check out TWayne on SoundCloud, on his official SoundCloud at that. Next up here, you know, we talked about back in December and January the big Jeremih and PARTYNEXTDOOR beef. Basically, it was them two on a tour, and you know, there were, you know, shots taken back and forth between the two of them, and then there was things where like Jeremih had like a double artist performing for him and stuff like that. It was a bunch of weird things that were happening, and you know, it seems here that it has now been squashed. A picture was posted on Instagram of the two of them, and they seem to be, you know, very, very friendly to each other now. So it seems that, you know, the beef that they two had that was very, very prominent back in the beginning of the year has now been squashed and been dealt with. So a lot of people are pretty excited about this because they have been wanting some Jeremih and PARTYNEXTDOOR music to be put out together. Honestly, you know, from my opinion, man, you guys know that I, you know, infamously talk about my Last Nights in Europe review of Jeremih's, you know, most recent album, and I was not a fan of it at all. It was definitely kind of fell flat for me personally. So I'm hoping that, you know, if there were to ever be any PARTYNEXTDOOR and Jeremih music come out, you know, in the near future, I hope that it does please me and pleases the fans as well, because Jeremih, I kind of left a little sour taste in my mouth, you know, leaving that album. So hoping that if they do get music together on this, you know, next adventure of them two being friends again, I hope that it's good. Now, you know, I'm sure I have a lot of viewers here that are in college or going to college and stuff like that, and one of the top colleges that, you know, you would need to pull off a miracle to get into or be extremely smart is Harvard. So, you know, just with Harvard being such a serious school and such a low acceptance rate, right? You know, Harvard is very, very prestigious and stuff like that. And so a little kid, you know, well, not little kid, a student from Georgia actually did something a little bit outlandish, and it actually paid off. So what he did was he submitted one of his rap albums as a thesis to help him pass with honors at Harvard, right? And so what he did was he created this 10-track album, this, you know, 10-track project called Liminal Minds, and it basically speaks to the black issues in America right now, you know, dealing with racism and stuff like that. And it is a 10-track, you know, full-on album, and he submitted it, the first of its kind at that. You know, Harvard has never gotten anything like this, you know, like as far as what they say, they have never gotten anything like this, and they actually accepted it. He passed with the second highest grade in his department, and he did it, man. Like, he actually, you know, made apparently an incredible album, you know, something that Harvard actually takes into account, and they actually paid off. So definitely congrats to him, man. That's crazy news. That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. So definitely reps up to that. And lastly here, if you were sleeping under a rock last night, or you were, you know, busy, you know, doing whatever on Sunday night, Drake won big at the Billboard Music Awards. Well, you know, of course, this is no surprise here. He performed, you know, at the Billboard Music Awards. It was a great performance as well, so they go check that out. And along with the award show, he swooped in 13 awards that night, beating the highest award winner, which was Adele, which I believe was last year actually, where she took home 12 awards. Drake took 13 awards, including Top Artist of the Year and also Best Album. He beat out the likes of Rihanna, of Beyonce, a bunch of, you know, just a bunch of heavy hitters here in the music industry, and Drake absolutely demolished that night, taking home 13 awards. And there's pictures that are absolutely insane of him just holding and like having his awards spread out, you know, on the floor, you know, just right behind him. It is an absolutely incredible, you know, picture, and absolutely an incredible night for Drake himself and the accomplishments he did. And what also was like really funny was that, you know, he would win awards, right? And like, it just seemed that like it was just so second nature for him to win an award that he would go up to the stage and just say the most random, outlandish like jokes. Like he did not really have like a formal speech ever prepared. Like he was just talking, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely funny to see, you know, Drake act, you know, a little bit more pompous and, you know, kind of just be funny with it. And congratulations to Drake as well. And that's all I got, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share down below. I appreciate all the favors you give me. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.